Howdy, YouTube. Well, these are the shadow forms of the DeLorean. Now, what you have to do is you have to take your sanding block or Dremel if you've got it, and you have to square these all up. Because the thing is, you want your builds to look as symmetrical as possible. I had a lot of people calling me Mr. Symmetry. All right, well, this is how I get my symmetry correct, is that I put all my shadow forms together and I sand them down as one block. And what this does is this gives you the ability to create better model kits. Because if you buy a model and you start building on it, all your parts are symmetrical already. They're vacuum or compression. All model kits are made in million-ton presses where they press the hot plastic into the mold, and so all your parts are molded. When you're building by hand like this, DIY or one-offs as they call it, you have to make sure that you create the same parts. Now, the cool thing about this is, because of these techniques that I teach you how to do, you can build your own stuff. You don't need to buy a kit or anything like that. You need some Elmer's glue, all right, or PVA if you're in Europe, and acrylic paint. Oh, excuse me, Pepsi burp. I better chase that. You know how that works. Anyway, your symmetry is extremely important when you're building. It's just like any aircraft or any car or house for that matter. When you are building it, if you get one piece of wood or one piece of metal out of shape and you don't fix that, the rest of the build goes downhill from there. And so what I'm teaching everyone with all of this stuff that I do is proper building techniques. And so you can cut corners, it doesn't matter. You don't have to build exactly like this. You can slap it together, and which is fine also, because you're building something and you're learning something. But if you want quality scale models, like what I did with this A10, all right, this was made with a cracker box. Same stuff I'm using here, except this is wheat thins. All right, you have to have your symmetry correct. If you do not, your kits won't look right. And so the thing is, you have to work at it. It's not hard work, it's easy work. But it is diligence in what you're doing that make your stuff outstanding versus maybe someone else's who just slaps it together. And it's totally up to you. All right, if you slap it together and you like what you got, it's all good. If you take your time and get to be a precision builder like I am, then you're going to have stuff that looks absolutely like a real model kit. And so, honestly, it doesn't matter to me which way you decide to go, because I'm just here to show you how to do this stuff. So those are the shadow forms for the DeLorean. These are the chassis bases. All right. Now, I want these DeLoreans to be very close to each other. And so that means I put this together now. What I'm doing is I'm sanding these edges down so that their symmetry is very good. That means as I'm building, each part will fit each piece better. And since I'm making 5 DeLoreans, I want them all to look as close to each other as possible. These little clamps, I got these. These are cheap. Wally World. I think these were like 70 cents a piece. Well, they're probably more like $1 now because the price of everything's gone nuts. But, and then I shift this stuff around, okay? And the reason I do that is because each piece fits a little tiny bit different, even when you clamp them. Even when you clamp them down, they go together a little tiny bit different each. And so what I'm doing is I am creating a better build by moving it around. Because when you're sanding, especially with a block like this, it's not precision. It's as close to precise as you can get. But it is not too precise when it comes right down to it. And now, I've got these. I'm building 5 DeLoreans. I've got 5 of these blocks. And so, because it's easier to write on a flat piece of paper, I am going to sign, date, and number all of these. Probably not date them because they're not done yet. I might. Maybe start date is when I started these. And so they can extrapolate from there. But no, I don't think so because I like to sign and date them. All right, so this is DeLorean number 1. And today is the 5th, 3/5/24. And my signature on here. Okay. What else should I put on here? I'm not really sure. That's my signature, start date, number 1. Okay, and so this one is number 2 of 5. The reason I sign and date every piece is because I have been into collectibles my whole life. And most limited edition pieces, the smallest I've ever seen is 1,000 pieces. All right, my builds are very small. Shoot, the most I think I ever made was 13 TARDISes. Okay, they're all numbered 1 through 13. And so the fantastic news about this is everything I'm doing now is 1 of 5. And so if you ever see one of my pieces, it's going to be extremely rare. And that's what I do, because I know that people want something collectible. Well, you can't get better than 5. Woohoo! Unless you get a 1. 1 of 1. I do have 1 of 1. Well, no, I don't. This is 1 of I don't know how many. But so far, it is 1 of 1, my card holder. And I have not got plans to build another one, because that one works really good. If somebody offers me a boatload of money on it, okay, I'll sell it. But other than that, no, it's not. All right. And so this whole process all right, I can sign the rest of these later. I don't have to do that right now. Those are there. Okay, now what you have got to do, see, I've got these. Now, I made 15 of these sheets because I need 3 pieces per DeLorean. And what I'm doing right now is I'm separating these because here's what we've got. All right, we need an outside piece. Now, you use the brown paper on that you're going to paint, because the paint sticks to this better than it does to this. So that means this is the outside piece, and this is an outside piece, and this is an inside piece, because there's 3 of these per chassis. This is what is equivalent to your superstructure. There's 1 of them. Okay. Oops, did I do that right or wrong? Outside, outside. Okay. So we've got the outside, we've got the outside, and we've got the inside. That is number 2. Outside, outside, inside. Number 3. Outside, outside, inside. Number 4. Outside, outside, inside. This is number 5. Okay, now I've already squared these up extremely well. And so now it comes to this point where we have to start by putting these upright pieces in here. There's a fairly easy way to make all these things work for you. All right, and that is what is called gusseting. Now, I'm using this super heavy cardstock to do this because I want this DeLorean to be extremely strong. And for that, I need to make sure that this piece is square, because now this is the cool part. I squared this paper up before. This edge here is my square edge. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to measure out this width. Okay, now what this is, you have to realize that this takes up space. Not a lot, but it does. And so what I have to do is I have to push this out there to the very edge of it to make sure that that fits on there, because unlike a model kit, you have to make your edges work. And so now this piece is going to sit right on there. So I also know now that I have to go down here and I have to make a mark so that they fit together better. And so at this point, and I like these machinist steel rules. You can get these at Home Depot or Harbor Freight. A lot of places sell these. And I paid $6 for this one. I found them for less now. But anyway, what you want to do is you want to measure this. All right. Now that is very close to exact. But see, you have a centerpiece. And so that centerpiece also takes up space. All right. And it is, when you check this out, it is 1/32 of an inch. Or if you flip it over, it is like 3 millimeters. All right, there are 3/100ths of an inch. And so that means I've got to take that much off of this again. So that is right there. All right, because this has to be cut in half. Okay, so that is there. And this is here. Oh, shoot. Okay. And it's always measure twice, cut once. It's very important. I had that wrong when I first put it down there. All right. Now what we do is we take your long scissors and you follow that line very closely. This is what you have. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check that. Alright, and at this point now I cut this piece in half again, because what is going to happen, let's see, I want to put that in the middle there. 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3. Okay, now that's 1 2 3 and a half. That is 1 2 3 and a fourth. All right, so I move it over just a teeny tiny bit. 1 2 3 and 1, 1 2 3 and 1, and then now we're going to take and mark it on center line. All right, so 1 2 3 and 1, 1 2 3. No, we're going to move that over that way. 1 2 3 and a 32nd. 1 2 3 and a 32nd. And so now I mark this here, because what I'm doing is I am setting up my build. All right, so now, and scissors have a very weird action. Okay, they cut paper that looks very, very smooth. It is a smooth cut, but they scissor, all right, which means it pushes the bottom over the top. And so what I do is I go ahead and then I square these edges, all right, because at this point in time they are not square, and I want them to adhere very good. All right, so now these are correct. All right, here's the deal. It's 1 2 3, outside, inside, outside. This is what you have. So at this point in time, I need that to fit very well. It does. Okay, so at this point, now I put the centerpiece in. All right, and I already had cut and fit these to measure to the bottom of this chassis. I just got an amazing thought. I have got to make the axles work on this. All right, because I've built enough things, I know that there's wheel wells on this. Now I almost goofed this up. So what I have to do right now is I have to check to see where these wheel wells are. What is that? Get off of there. Oops. No, no, no. No, no, no. Okay. Come on. No, that's wrong. Okay. That's not right either. What the heck is going on here? My computer. Okay, let's just get rid of this. Since I have this on my laptop, I just open it up again and bring it right back. Okay, so now what I need to do is build this up to the exact size. So now I'm making it bigger, and let's see, is that right? That's a little too big. Okay, now what I'm doing right now is I'm holding this shadow form up. Oh, you son of a gun. Darn. Oh, thanks a lot, Google. You worthless piece of garbage. Oh, man. And I don't have a printer that works right now. And so, shoot. Yeah, that's not right either. That means this needs to be up here higher. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, it doesn't matter. We're close. No, well. Okay, so now what I gotta do, is I've got to fix this here a little bit better. Alright. And so now I'm making this mark here. Alright, so what have we got there? We've got that close to that. Alright, so now what we've got is a wheel well opening this big instead of this size. And your layout, whenever you're building something like this, you have to have a little bit of mechanical knowledge in your head about laying stuff out correctly. It is one of those kind of things that just has to be done. Alright, so, man, and anyway, okay, that is right there, and that is right there. Yep. Okay, that is right there, and that is right there. Very good. Okay, so now this is here. I gotta take that off of there. Alright, this is my template. Alright, this is what I set everything up with, was this template. And now what I've got to do is I've got to make sure this template is right so that I can continue to build this thing. And the rear wheels are just a tiny bit bigger than the front ones. Yes, they are. Okay, so now that I have that, and I think that's right. I think that's right. No, not quite. Almost, but not quite. Alright, let's try this now. And try this again. Okay, now I've got the wheels correct. Okay, dokie. Now, what I have over here is I have this real handy hole punch bought it at Wally World. Okay, and it is not the right size that I need, but I can use it to cut these parts out with. Because you trim them out. Okay, so that is what I've got there. And then I go to the front and I do the same thing over here. Now, what this is doing is, this is giving us our base size. Alright, we can put this away. And we can put these away, because they'll be coming back shortly. Alright, now what I need to do is I have these over here. Alright, I have these sanding blocks that I built. And this is actually really close to the diameter of the DeLorean's wheels. And so now what I'm doing is I'm taking the high spots of the punch marks out, so they clean up. Because since this piece is my my template, I want to be able to use it to do all the rest of the DeLorean bodies. And I almost messed up and glued this stuff on. And so, at this point in time, you're closing in now on being able to create your sidewalls of your DeLorean. These don't have to be perfect. You're making these by hand. All right, but now what I have to do is now I put it on here like so. Now I have a template. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that stays in line. Don't let it slip or slide out of the way. And now you just transfer your template. And there is your first set. Now, the nice thing is the inside piece, which is this one, and this is the outside piece. The inside one just has to have a little bitty punch in it to match up with the axle. And I'll show you how to make the axle retainers so that the wheels don't slide in and out. And that's also actually quite simple. And so then this goes on here, and you just scribe it out just like you did the other side. All right, now what you've got is you have got both of your wheel sections that your tires have to go to. And I almost goofed up, because you can't do this after you glue everything together. You got to tear it apart and start over. And now I have a circle that I can go to like this. And what I'm doing is I'm using this cutter, because this cutter is very sharp. And so I'm just tracing it out. Okay, there it is. And so now we go to this front section and we just do the same thing over there. And by taking these little nibbles out of it, what you're doing is you're giving yourself a better job than using the sandpaper. You have to do it with the sandpaper the first time, because you've got to get a very accurate area to work with. And now I just go ahead and I nibble out all the rest of these. Because this hole punch is curved, it'll follow your pattern extremely well. Then all you have to do is go in with a little tiny sander and clean up the edges. There's number 2. And of course you got to empty this thing regularly, because you get lots of little flakes and stuff inside here. All right, now that's those 2. Now the cool thing about this is you just put these on here like so, and now I've got these 2 marks right here is what I'm doing. All right, now I put those 2 marks on there, one on the front, one on the back. And the reason I'm doing that is because I need to put this piece on here and see exactly where those are, because I have to have this right exactly in the middle of where this, let's see, what, that's 1, 2, 3 and a 16th. So there's 1.5 right there. All right, this is where the axle sits inside the chassis. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is easy one to figure right there. Now, what I'm going to use for axles are going to be Q-tips. Okay. You can use plastic Q-tips, or you can use paper ones. My suggestion is to use the paper ones. They're not as strong, but the paper ones, you can glue your retainers and everything in. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is you take your sanding blocks, all right, and you just push on this, turn it as you're sanding this. And what it does is it just rolls, the cotton right off the Q-tip. so you don't have to pluck it off. Anyway, and it gives you a finished edge, a really good one. Now what I do, and this is a handy tool right here, because what I'm doing right now is I'm seeing what size this Q-tip is. All right, now that is too big and that is too small. The cool thing is you want the small one, because the small one will make your axle fit tighter, and over time it will loosen up. And so now what I'm doing is I have to cut this out like so. Okay, that is now where your axles will sit. All right, you're going to have your tire out here, and your hub, your, what do they call that? Doggone wheel. Your wheel, and your tire goes on the wheel, which is a rim. And so anyway, that is where you have to start. And now you see, when you put this on here, this is what you have. You have your axle that sits in there. Works pretty good. So that's what you want. That is the setup of your chassis. Thank you all for watching. Welcome to Building DeLorean 101. Anyway, take care, Paper Army. I hope to have this posted shortly. Have a great day.